Sudika, you're watching Now at Noon. It's a Monday, and it's the English news here for you on Now 26 with me, Pupe, or Chawadak
and me, myself, Kawin Supakit Kun. Well, first, let's take a look at Japan. It seems like Japan is pushing Thailand for a smooth transition into AEC in 2015. As today, Japan International Cooperation Agency, or what we call JICA, is holding a 60th anniversary. And we have a reporter there, Kun Tawanrat Nandarchai. She was there.
This year, the government of Japan and Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, mark 6 decades as a bilateral donors through Official Development Assistance, or ODA, which aims to provide help to developing countries by giving them funding and technologies. Japan has offered ODA in various forms to about 150 countries and regions over the world in collaboration with various stakeholders. Such contributions has achieved other considerable achievements, such as bolstering friendships between these countries and Japan, strengthening exchange between people throughout the world and the Japanese people, and improving Japan's position in the international community. One of the largest ODA loans which has just been allocated recently to Thailand was to finance the mass transit system project in Bangkok, or the Purple Line train that would connect Bang Sue in Bangkok and Bang Yai in the neighboring Nonthaburi province. The funds were for both consulting services and civil works, covering elevated structures, stations, depot, and park and ride buildings, as well as track works. Today, Thailand is moving forward to become a country that is the development partner of Japan, working together to provide assistance to other developing countries, particularly those in the Mekong sub-region, in capacity development and preparation for the integration into the ASEAN Economic Community in 2015. JICA insists that Japan will continue the Official Development Assistance, or ODA, in order to provide assistance to Thailand and countries in Mekong sub-region ahead of AEC in 2015. Tawanrat Nandarchai reports from Now 26.
Well, in the meantime, overseas in Asia, there has been a lot of reactions, both positive and somewhat mixed, over the latest surprise by the Chinese government to cut its interest rates. Now, we've had the latest news coming from Friday, but of course, we've seen the measures being put in effect as of yesterday, and of course, today the markets are open. So with that, on Friday, the People's Bank of China, just to review for you here, surprised markets as it made the move to cut the one-year benchmark lending rate of 40 basis points, the first reduction in more than 2 years. The central bank also lowered the benchmark one-year deposit rate by 25 basis points. China's leadership and central bank are ready to cut interest rates as they try to loosen the lending restrictions, concerned that falling prices could trigger a surge in debt defaults, business failures, and job losses. According to some sources, the reflecting of the changes here shows that there is somewhat of a positive out of this, as markets were immediately positive, but still the PBOC's actions, along with the news from Europe and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, was what was pushing the markets. But overall, though, there are yet again some concerns saying that this move could be a part of a way to counter the slowdown that has been observed in the mainland, as economic growth has slowed to 7.3% in the third quarter, and policymakers feared that it was on the verge of dipping below 7%, a rate not seen since the global financial crisis. Producer prices charged at the factory gate have been falling for almost 3 years, piling pressure on manufacturers and consumer inflation as it is weak.
Well, on the Thai economy side, recently, Deputy Prime Minister Momratchawong Pritidathorn Tewakun, he says he believes that Thai economy can grow at least 4% next year as government spending start to roll out. A Thai Chamber of Commerce survey show that businessmen have a positive outlook for next year, as they expect high government spending, recovery in tourism, and strong cross-border trade growth on the ASEAN market. However, the worrying factors are volatile global economic growth, low crop prices, high debt liabilities, and high cost of living and production. However, Pritidathorn says there's clear signs of recovery following the launch of government projects and investment plans. The government is amending hundreds of regulations to facilitate Thai enterprises to do business easily under the regional integration of AEC. The government is expected to also complete paying 40 billion baht to farmers early next year. According to the University of Thai Chamber of Commerce estimates, the Thai economy next year could grow in the range of 3 to 5% compared to the average ASEAN growth forecast of 5.4%.
Well, that's quite optimistic because given the fact that the forecast now has been cut to 1% here for the GDP growth in 2014. So I think anyone would really welcome that growth. In the meantime, so there is still mixed feelings with the Prayut administration. A lot of positive and negative balancing out of the various surveyed questions here, whether it is from academics or to the private sector. There are still mixed feelings towards the military government as part of the private sector welcomes stimulus from the junta, but there are still concerns over martial law and potential violations of rights. The nation recently had a group of academics and officials give their opinions over the government's performance, in which the grade given ranged from a negative 10 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. So that's quite a very big range there. While the National Human Rights Commission member Kuniran Pitakwatara commended the National Council for Peace and Order, or NCPO, for ending the killing of civilians at demonstrations, the Thailand Reform Institute Director Kun Suriyasai Kattatsila said this government still has not produced any tangible policies, especially in the area of governing the country. Meanwhile, the business center has endorsed the Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha's government and urges it to activate or initiate a long-term economic stimulus plan and for the state agencies to collaborate more.
Well, I think there's a lot of views coming along. I think we have to really see what happens next year.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, let's take a short break, and of course we'll say goodbye to you, Kun Go-in. Thank you for reading with us here. But up next, stay tuned. We'll be talking about the potential impact of the surprise interest rate cuts in the mainland China onto the ASEAN region.